Hey, it's Thomas Mulready from CoolCleveland. We're here today with John Zitzner, who is not only the founder of Breakthrough Public Schools, but he is now the president of the Friends of Breakthrough. John, thanks so much for taking a few moments.
Thomas, thanks for having me on. It's awesome.
Yeah. Hey, congratulations, first of all, on what you've done since 2010. You've created not one, not two, but 12 of these public charter schools really in the most difficult neighborhoods in Cleveland. I think 99% of your students are minorities, 79% are low income, and you're serving about 3,600 what you're calling high need neighborhoods. So fabulous. And also you outperform, I thought this was interesting, all 8 urban school districts in the state of Ohio, which of course is a low bar because they're the worst performing in the state, but still, that's quite an achievement. Um, and why do you think you guys outperform when most charter schools just don't, according to the statistics? I mean, you're doing something that they're not. What is your big breakthrough?
Well, actually, if you look at statewide, charters across the state are actually outperforming on par districts. So not only our schools, there's plenty of great charter networks around the state. And I think the thing we have in common is we have very high expectations for all adults in the building and for the kids. And we really make sure that every adult we put in front of kids puts kids' needs first, and so the teachers can give all of the attention they need to every single child.
Right. So you've got a lot of focus on training with your teachers, and also you're challenging the students in ways that you don't normally see. Um, what is your normal model up until this year? Because we need to talk about the challenges of COVID. But what was really your model in terms of how you approach this educational process differently?
Yeah, well, pre-COVID, I mean, I guess our model is to maximize time kids are getting an education, and you do that in several ways. You set a culture in the school, a behavior culture that eliminates distractions, and actually creates more time in the day. Transitions between classes are fairly short. That adds more time to the day. So it's really more time on task. It's setting expectations high because wherever you set the bar, the scholars will achieve it. So if you set it high, they're going to go for that. And having every adult in the building kind of on the same page and all putting kids' needs first without bureaucratic red tape, that seems to be a winning formula.
How important is it to involve the parents, the grandparents, whatever committed family members there are in the household?
Yeah, families are super important to us, and they are our partners in educating our scholars. And some have a little bit more time to do it, and others don't. A lot of our families, single parent families with several jobs. So it's really our job to do the major lifting when it comes to education and engage our parents as much as we can. And the more they're engaged, the better off everybody is. So we try to view it as a partnership. We listen carefully to our parents. We survey them. We speak with them a lot. It's really important.
And it occurs to us that as we do consider the challenges of COVID, those are going to be even more so with some of your families because of the economic fallout.
It's extraordinary. COVID has really thrown everybody a curveball, but our families especially, because many of our families they don't have the luxury that you and I and many people have. I'm working out of my home. It looks like maybe you are too. Some of our families don't have that luxury, so it's a very, very difficult burden to expect parents to have to stay home while we do this distance learning. Tough.
Right. Talk about your response to COVID, because you started early as soon as word came out, even at the end of last school year. And I know you guys are in the process of pivoting, as we call it. But I'll let you frame it. What really are your biggest challenges now as you go forward here?
Yeah, well, there's two parts of it, right? There was the springtime when everybody, on March 13th, Friday the 13th, worst day, that we can all remember. So our educators were phenomenal. They pivoted right away, as you use the term. And we had to move from in-person learning to distance learning, just like that. And first thing we did, we surveyed our families. We made sure they all got devices. So 100% of our families who needed a device got it. We've got hotspots out there for families who didn't have internet, because Cleveland is horrible with internet access. We helped them with Spectrum. We helped them with Digital C, Dorothy Bonnick's group. So we virtually had all of our parents and all of our families with technology very, very rapidly, and then began to deliver some version of distance learning, which our parents said we did a pretty good job on. We're going to do even better this fall.
Well, you are, I'm sure you are, but there's a pretty big bar to cross, isn't there? Because I read some of your material, it's going to cost you about $500,000 for equipment and curriculum.
Yeah.
More?
Yeah,
Talk about that.
it's just, well, I mean, it's just every time you turn around. First of all, you get cut from the state, which I understand. We have a challenging, to get levy passed in the fall. We're all, rooting for the levy to pass, because if something were to happen there, that would kill us in terms of money. We're one of the only cities, we are the only city in the state where charter guys like us get a little tiny bit of the local property tax. So expenses, revenue's going down, expenses are going up. Never mind, temperature taking and thermal imaging and sanitization and masks and equipment and more Chromebooks and more iPads. And it's just, it's a never ending battle. So it's going to be really, really a challenge. And, we are going to be doing distance learning in the fall until this thing gets, under control.
Are you looking to innovate and find some other breakthroughs, if you will, on education to allow the safety and really to just take advantage of the technology and the sort of new way of, education's not perfect. It hasn't been. And in a lot of ways, we can say it hasn't changed much in decades since you and I were in school. Our parents, our grandparents, a lot of the same models. And it seems like COVID has pushed the fast forward button here and forced a lot of people to change. Do you see that as a good thing that you're going to leverage and move into the future, or are you kind of resisting that and hoping we can still stay face to face?
No, COVID forced us to do a better job with technology, and that's not going away. So even when our kiddos come back into the building, technology now is part of our fabric. It's always going to be there. And, it could actually be a benefit. Even if we come back to school in person, they can still do distance learning, right? Because they could do, homework that way, or Saturday school, or, if they're homesick for a day, you can still get distance learning. So I don't see it going away, but we all know that in-person learning in the school, social, emotional, all the pediatricians tell us, there's many reasons why our scholars need to be in the building, not just the academics.
Talk about you got an award, I think it was from Verizon, it was the first school-based 5G innovative learning lab.
Yeah.
What is that all about?
Yeah, it was phenomenal. We did a pretty good job with Verizon. They first chose us to give all of our middle schoolers iPads with data that they could take home and use. So we actually got, technology kickoff a year or so ago when Verizon picked us to be a Verizon innovative learning school. Because we did a pretty good job and our kids were on the iPads, Verizon measured all this. They measured how much time our kids were engaged on iPads. And because of that, they chose us to be the very first 5G education lab in the country. And it opened, with a big bang this year. We even had Pharrell come into the school and greet the kids. It was amazing. And if you go in that lab, you think you're going into like a Google workspace. It's really cool with workspace, tables, 3D printers, robotics. It's going to give our kids such a great experience. And it was the only 5G school in the country. Now they've since opened up 7 or 8 more, but we were the first one.
And they have plans to open a lot more. And it seems like that model does leverage a lot of the technology. Are you looking to develop that a little more, learn from that, and maybe expand on what you're learning there?
Yeah, for sure. As a matter of fact, our second school is going to get a version of that lab in this year. And we have a person dedicated to figuring this out. We plan to use the Arizona State University curriculum for 5G labs, and we were going to bring that in the fall, and we will. As soon as school opens back up again, we'll get the kids back in there. But it's going to be great. That lab is going to be filled all day long. Classes are going to come in and out, and the teachers love it. The kids love it. It's a show place, and we'd like to offer it up to the community to take advantage of it too. Sometimes people want to have meetings in a lab like that, and we really want to make this a community space.
Well, it sounds great. I want to congratulate you on what you've done. Before we wrap up, I understand you you probably have a lot of needs when it comes to distance learning and this whole new world. I know you're making an outreach to the foundations and to your supporters. Are there specific things and specific ways that our readers can participate, contribute, and help the cause?
Yeah, when you go to our website, click on Victory Fund, and the Victory Fund, the Scholars Victory Fund, was set up so that our annual donors can do a little bit more, and maybe some first-time donors who never did it before could just chip in a little bit to the Victory Fund. It's going to enable us to, I mean, when we send our kids home, if they have 4 kids in the family, we send them home with 4 Chromebooks, not 1, not 0, 4. Now, in order to do that, and then they get broken, so we have to do a big buy of Chromebooks. And so, viewers can help with that by giving to the Victory Fund. We just got to fill up the coffers again because of this terrible hit that we had. So that's basically it. And just be a cheerleader for us. Tell everybody, about what Breakthrough's doing. If you know any families in Cleveland, we have openings right now. We're going to kick off this distance learning hard, and we can take more kids because we're not constricted by building. We can enroll hundreds and hundreds of more kids right now and get them started on Labor Day, after Labor Day, so they don't skip a beat. The last thing we want is kids in Cleveland to lose another 3 or 4 months of education. It's going to be a disaster. So send kids to our school and contribute and volunteer and just spread the word.
Well, it does seem like this has been a tough hit. It's going to be tough coming out of this, but there is these silver linings. And as you say, the opportunity to reach more students, to do it in a way that's asynchronous, to do it in a way that's might make more sense for people's schedules. And, we've always pushed for universal broadband access for
Right.
transition and innovation in education. So I'm so glad to again, talk with you and pass along our congratulations to your team for such a great job since 2010 and the achievements that you guys have made. And thanks for taking a few moments here yourself.
Hey, it's my pleasure. Anytime. Education is urgent. Remember that.
We got that message. Thank you so much, John.
All right, Thomas. Appreciate it.
Thank you. It's Thomas Mulready from Cool Cleveland. Be well, stay safe, and keep yourself educated.